The mop hit the floor with a wet slap, and Anna pushed it forward across the grimy tiles. Her knees ached from hours of scrubbing, and her back complained with every movement, but she kept working. The maintenance tunnel of Station Meridian stretched ahead of her like a metal cave, lit by flickering yellow lights that made everything look sick and tired. Just like her, she'd been cleaning these same hallways for 7 years now. Before that, it was a different station. Before that, another one. 25 years of mopping floors, scrubbing toilets, and staying invisible. That was the trick to survival out here. Be invisible. Don't make eye contact. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't hope for anything better than a group of Valoran merchants passed by, their insect-like bodies clicking as they walked. They didn't even glance at her. To them, she was just part of the station's equipment, like the lights or the air recyclers. Anna had learned not to mind. Being invisible meant being safe. She wrung out the mop in her bucket and moved to the next section. The water was brown now, full of oil and dirt and things she didn't want to think about. Her hands were raw and red from the cheap cleaning chemicals. She'd asked Overseer Quillith for gloves once, 3 years ago. He'd laughed in her face with that chittering sound the Valorans made when they found something funny. "Humans are death worlders," he'd said. "Your skin can handle acid rain and radiation. You don't need gloves for soap." He wasn't entirely wrong. Earth had been a brutal place, or so the stories went. Anna had never seen it. She'd been born on a research station near the edge of human space. That life felt like a dream now, something that had happened to someone else. The young boy ran past her, nearly knocking over her bucket. He couldn't have been more than 8 years old, clutching a data pad to his chest. His shirt was too big for him, probably handed down from an older worker. Anna caught the bucket before it spilled. "Careful," she said gently. The boy stopped and turned back. His eyes were wide with fear, like he expected her to yell at him. When she just smiled, he relaxed a little. "Sorry, miss. I didn't see you." "It's okay. Where are you running to?" "My mom works in the cargo bay. I wanted to show her this." He held up the data pad proudly. "I got a perfect score on my reading test." Anna's smile grew genuine. "That's wonderful. She'll be proud of you." The boy grinned and ran off, his footsteps echoing in the tunnel. Anna watched him go, feeling something twist in her chest. She wanted children once, back when she had a different life. Back when she had a future. She went back to mopping, pushing those thoughts away. They didn't help. Nothing changed by thinking about what could have been. The station speakers crackled to life, making her jump. The voice that came through was Overseer Quillith, speaking in the common trade language that everyone used. "All station personnel, attention. The Dragon Emperor's flagship has requested docking clearance. They will arrive in 6 hours. All workers report to your supervisors for special assignments. This is a priority alert." The announcement repeated twice more, then cut off. Anna stood frozen, her mop forgotten in her hands. The Dragon Emperor. She hadn't heard that title in years, but it sent a cold spike through her stomach. Her hands started shaking. She didn't know why the name affected her so much. She'd never met any Scaleborn, the massive dragon-like aliens who ruled a huge chunk of the galaxy. They didn't come to stations like this, didn't deal with the small trade posts where humans and other minor species struggled to survive. An emperor visiting was unheard of. Oh, why did her chest feel tight? Why did her breath come faster? "Read." Overseer Quillith's voice cut through her thoughts. He scuttled toward her on his 6 legs, his antenna twitching with irritation. "Did you not hear the announcement?" "Yes, Overseer." "Then stop standing there like a broken robot. All cleaning staff are assigned to the main docking bay. We have 6 hours to make it presentable for Imperial inspection." His compound eyes looked her up and down with disgust. "And clean yourself up. You look like you've been rolling in garbage." Anna bit back a response. Arguing never helped. "Yes, Overseer. The Emperor himself is coming. Do you understand what that means? If anything is wrong, if there's a single speck of dust where he walks, they could shut down this entire station. We'll all be out of work." He leaned closer, and she could smell the strange, chemical scent of his species. "Do not embarrass me, human." He scuttled away without waiting for an answer. Anna watched him go, then looked down at her red, raw hands. They were trembling 6 hours until the Emperor arrived. 6 hours to prepare. She picked up her bucket and started walking toward the docking bay, her mind spinning. That strange anxiety in her chest grew stronger with every step, like her body knew something her mind had forgotten, that she'd spent 25 years staying invisible, staying safe, staying numb. But as she walked those long metal corridors toward the docking bay where the Dragon Emperor would land, Anna had the terrible feeling that her invisible life was about to end, and she didn't know if that scared her or gave her hope. 47 servants lined the walls of the docking bay, and Anna was one of them. They'd been standing there for an hour, back straight, eyes down, waiting. Her legs hurt. Her stomach growled. None of that mattered. What mattered was being perfectly still, perfectly invisible. The bay itself looked better than Anna had ever seen it. Every surface gleamed. The floors reflected the lights above like dark mirrors. The air smelled of industrial cleaner instead of the usual oil and sweat. In the center of the massive space, station officials stood in their best uniforms, arranged by rank and importance. Overseer Quillith was there, looking small next to the station commander, and the trade minister's Anna spot was along the far wall, between two other human workers she barely knew. The man to her left was old, his hair gray and thin. The woman to her right couldn't have been more than 20, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. They were all terrified of making a mistake, of being noticed. The docking bay doors began to open, massive sheets of metal sliding apart to reveal the black of space beyond. Through the atmospheric shield, Anna could see something moving, something enormous. The flagship came into view, and everyone in the bay gasped. Anna couldn't help it. She'd seen ships before, thousands of them, but nothing like this. It looked alive. The hull curved and flowed like scales, shimmering with colors that shifted in the light. It didn't look built. It looked grown, like someone had convinced a piece of the universe to take the shape of a dragon and fly through the stars. The ship settled into the docking cradle with a grace that should have been impossible for something so large. The thrusters didn't roar. They whispered. The landing felt gentle, like a parent setting down a sleeping child. For a moment, nothing happened. The officials in the center of the bay adjusted their uniforms and cleared their throats. Overseer Quillith's antenna twitched nervously, and it kept her eyes down, but her heart was hammering against her ribs. That strange anxiety from before had grown into something bigger, something that made her want to run. The ship's boarding ramp extended, and then he emerged. The Dragon Emperor was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. His scales were deep crimson, each one the size of Anna's hand, and they caught the light like jewels. His body was serpentine and powerful, moving with a liquid grace that made the massive form seem weightless. His wings were folded against his back, but Anna could see they'd span the entire bay if he opened them. His head was elegant and deadly, with horns that curved back like a crown and eyes that glowed with an inner fire. He was ancient. Anna could feel it somehow, looking at him. This being had lived for centuries, maybe longer. He'd seen stars born and die. He'd ruled an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. And right now, he was stepping onto their small, dirty trade station. The station commander stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Your Imperial Majesty, we are honored beyond measure by your presence. Station Meridian welcomes you and offers every resource at our disposal for your comfort and convenience." The Emperor didn't look at him. His massive head swept slowly across the docking bay, those glowing eyes examining every corner, every person. Anna pressed herself harder against the wall, trying to become part of it. "Don't see me. Please don't see me." The station commander kept talking, listing all the preparations they'd made, the security measures, the accommodations. The trade ministers added their own greetings. The Dragon Emperor ignored all of them. His gaze continued to move across the room, systematic and thorough. Then his eyes found Anna. She felt it like a physical touch, like someone had grabbed her by the heart. Those ancient, glowing eyes locked onto hers across the length of the docking bay, and the entire universe seemed to stop. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't look away. The Emperor's body went very still. For a moment that stretched like hours, he just stared at her. Then he moved. The officials scattered as he crossed the bay, his claws clicking on the polished floor. He wasn't rushing, but each step covered an impossible distance. Servants pressed themselves against the walls in terror. The old man next to Anna made a small whimpering sound. Anna wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't work. Overseer Quillith realized what was happening. His compound eyes went wide, and he scuttled forward, trying to intercept the Emperor. "Your Majesty, please, if there's been an offense, I can remove the worker immediately. This human is nobody, just a cleaner. She means no disrespect." The Emperor's tail swept out, not hard, just a gentle push, but sent Quillith sliding 10 feet across the floor. The dragon's voice, when he spoke, was deep enough to vibrate in Anna's bones. "Move aside." It wasn't a request. It was the voice of someone who'd commanded armies, who'd made laws that governed entire species. The station officials froze. Overseer Quillith stayed where he'd been pushed, too frightened to move. The Emperor continued forward until he stood directly in front of Anna. Up close, he was even more massive. His head alone was bigger than she was. One claw could tear her apart. His breath was hot on her face, smelling of spice and smoke. She should have been terrified. She was terrified, but underneath the fear was something else, something that made her eyes burn with tears she didn't understand. The Dragon Emperor lowered his great head until his eyes were level with hers. This close, she could see emotions in those eyes, could see something that looked almost like human feeling in an alien face. When he spoke again, his voice was soft, gentle, nothing like the command from before. "Mother, I have searched for you across the stars." The word hit her like a hammer. Mother. Memories crashed through her mind. Images she'd buried so deep she'd thought they were gone forever. A laboratory, a dying hatchling, sleepless nights and desperate measures, small chirping sounds and the weight of scales against her chest. A voice in her mind, young and frightened, crying for help. "No, Anna Guispirth. That's not possible." The Emperor's eyes were gentle. One massive claw reached out slowly, carefully, and touched her hand. The touch was warm. "It is you," he said. "I would know you anywhere." Your voice sang to me in the darkness. Your hands held me when I knew nothing but pain. You saved me when I should have died. Anna's legs gave out. She didn't fall because the Emperor moved faster than something that large should be able to move, catching her gently with his forearm. All around them, the station personnel stood frozen in shock. Overseer Quillith's mouth hung open. The station commander looked like he might faint. Anna looked up at the Dragon Emperor, at Dravon, and remembered everything. The hatchling with the scar on his chest. The baby dragon she'd fed by hand. The small voice that had called her mother because he'd known no other word. "You lived," she said, and her voice broke. "You grew up. Because of you," Dravon said. "And now I've found you at last." The private chamber was meant for important visitors, and Anna had cleaned 100 times but never imagined being inside it as a guest. The walls were made of some smooth, alien stone that glowed softly. Comfortable furniture designed for a dozen different species filled the space. She sat in a chair meant for humans, her hands folded in her lap, still shaking. Dravon filled half the room. His massive body was coiled carefully so he could fit, his wings tucked tight. Despite his size, he moved with such care that he never knocked over a single piece of furniture. Another figure stood near the doorway, a tall scale-born with silver scales and hard eyes. High Chancellor Morvith. He'd introduced himself as, and he'd made it clear he thought this whole situation was suspicious. "Your Majesty," Morvith said, his voice cold and formal. "We should verify this claim before making any declarations. This human could be anyone. A servant, a charlatan seeking advantage." "She is no charlatan," Dravon said quietly. His eyes never left Anna's face. "I know her. I have always known her." Anna finally found her voice. It came out rough, like she'd forgotten how to use it properly. "I don't understand. You were just a hatchling. You were dying. Tell me what you remember," Dravon said gently. "Please." The memories were flooding back now, 25 years of buried pain rising to the surface. Anna closed her eyes and let herself remember. "I was Dr. Anna Reed. I had a doctorate in xenobiology. I was studying ecosystem development on an uninhabited world called Sanctuary 7. It was supposed to be a simple research assignment. 6 months, collect data, file reports. I'd been there for 3 months when I found the nest. She could see it in her mind, as clear as yesterday. It was in a cave system, hidden deep. Someone had destroyed it. Poachers, I learned later. They'd killed the mother and taken her scales and bones. The eggs were all smashed except one. I almost missed it. It was pushed into a crack in the rock, like the mother had hidden it with her last strength. I brought the egg back to my station. Anna continued. It was against every regulation. First contact protocols said I should have left it alone, called it in, let the authorities handle it. But the egg was dying. I could see it. The shell had cracks. Whatever was inside was failing. Dravon made a sound, something between a rumble and a sigh. Anna opened her eyes and looked at him. You hatched 3 days later. You were so small. I could hold you in both hands. And you were sick. So sick. Your scales were wrong, pale and soft. You couldn't eat. You barely breathed. Tears ran down Anna's face now. She didn't bother wiping them away. I didn't know what to do. I had no data on your species. No medical information. I was making everything up, trying things, hoping something would work. I stayed awake for days. I fed you with a tube when you couldn't swallow. I kept you warm against my body because you were cold-blooded and couldn't regulate your temperature. I sang to you because you seemed calmer when you heard my voice. She laughed, but it came out broken. Stupid human songs. Lullabies my mother sang to me when I was little. They were not stupid, Dravon said softly. They were beautiful. I remember them still. You were dying, Anna said. After 2 weeks, you were worse instead of better. I realized you had an infection in your chest. I could see it spreading under your scales. I had to operate. I had no training for surgery on your species. I had basic medical supplies meant for humans. But I did it anyway because you would die if I didn't try. She stood up and walked toward Dravon. He lowered his head, watching her with those ancient, gentle eyes. Anna reached out and touched his chest, right where his scales were thickest. Her hand looked tiny against him. There was a scar, she whispered. Right here. A small scar from where I cut you open and saved your life. Dravon's claw came up, carefully moved aside 3 scales. Underneath, on the crimson skin, was a thin white line. The scar. Anna's breath caught. For 6 months, I raised you, she continued, her hand still on his chest. You grew stronger. You learned to eat, to fly short distances. You started communicating, not with words yet, but with thoughts. Feelings. You call me mother because that's what I was to you. The only parent you knew. What happened? Morvith asked. His voice had lost some of its coldness. How were you separated? Anna's hand dropped. She stepped back, wrapping her arms around herself. Scaleborn scouts found us. Your people have been searching for the nest for survivors. They recognized what you were. The Emperor's lost heir. The egg that had vanished when poachers attacked the royal nursery. They took you, she said. They had to. You belonged with your people, with your family. I understood that, but I'd broken so many rules. I'd hidden a member of a protected species. I'd operated on you without authorization. I'd never reported finding you. The authorities destroyed my career. Said I contaminated first contact protocols. Said I was reckless and dangerous. My research was confiscated. My doctorate was revoked. I was blacklisted from every scientific position in human space. No one would hire me. No one would even speak to me. She looked at Dravon, and her voice went flat. I lost everything. My work, my reputation, my future. All of it gone because I saved your life. The room was silent. Morvith looked uncomfortable. Dravon's eyes were bright with something that might have been tears if dragons cried. I didn't know, Dravon said, and his voice shook. I was taken to the Imperial homeworld. They taught me who I was, what I would become. I asked about you constantly. They told me you were being rewarded, that you'd been honored for saving the heir. I believed them because I was young and I trusted them. It wasn't until I took the throne 10 years ago that I learned the truth. I searched for you immediately, but you disappeared. Changed your name. Moved from station to station. I've had people looking for 25 years. Anna turned away. I didn't want to be found. I wanted to forget. Forget that I'd had dreams once. Forget that I'd done something that mattered. It hurt too much to remember. I am sorry, Dravon said. I'm sorry for what they did to you. Sorry I cannot stop it. Sorry I took so long to find you. It wasn't your fault. You were a baby. I'm not a baby now, Dravon said. His voice grew stronger, more formal. I am a Dragon Emperor. I rule 400 systems. And I declare that you, Anna Reed, will be honored as you should have been 25 years ago. You will be recognized as mother to the Imperial line. You will be given everything you lost and more. Anna shook her head. I don't want anything. Anna, I don't, she said firmly. I just want to be left alone. I built a life here, small as it is. I've learned not to want things. It's safer that way. She looked at him one more time, at the magnificent being he'd become, and felt something crack inside her chest. I'm glad you lived. I'm glad you grew up strong and good. But I can't be part of your world. I am sorry. She walked to the door. Morvith moved aside to let her pass. Dravon didn't try to stop her, but his voice followed her into the hallway. I will not force you, Mother, but I will not give up on you either. You saved me once. Let me save you now. Anna kept walking, her vision blurred with tears, not sure if she was running away from her past or towards something she'd thought was gone forever. Anna's quarters were tiny, a room barely large enough for a bed and a small storage locker. She'd been sitting on the edge of the bed for 3 hours, staring at nothing, when someone knocked on her door. She almost didn't answer. But old habits were hard to break, and servants didn't ignore summons. She opened the door, expecting Overseer Quillith or maybe security coming to evict her. Instead, she found a human woman she hadn't seen in 26 years. Hello, Anna, Captain Rita Hayes said with a gentle smile. Mind if I come in? Anna stepped back wordlessly. Rita entered and looked around the tiny space, her expression carefully neutral. She was older now, her dark hair streaked with gray, but her eyes were the same. Kind eyes. Honest eyes. I heard what happened, Rita said. The whole station is talking about it. Actually, the whole galaxy is talking about it. News travels fast when the Dragon Emperor calls someone mother. How did you find me? Anna's voice came out hoarse. I changed my name. I move constantly. I've been keeping track of you for years, Rita admitted. From a distance. I wanted to help, but you made it clear you didn't want to be found. I respected that. But now, she shook her head. Now you need a friend, whether you want one or not. Anna sat back down on the bed. Rita pulled over the room's only chair, an old plastic thing that creaked under her weight. I tried to defend you, Rita said quietly. Back when they came after you. I testified that you'd done the right thing, that you'd saved a life. They didn't care. The politicians wanted a scapegoat, and you were convenient. I know. I don't blame you. I blame me, Rita said. I should have fought harder. Should have made more noise. Instead, I kept my head down and kept my career, and you lost everything. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Rita leaned forward. So what are you going to do? The Emperor wants to honor you. That's not a small thing, Anna. That's power. Influence. You could help people. Or I could become a target, Anna said. I talked to High Chancellor Morvith earlier. He came to see me after I left Dravon. Warned me that accepting Imperial favor would make me enemies. Other species won't like a human having the Emperor's ear. Some humans will resent me for never telling my story. And the politics inside the Scaleborn Empire are complicated. Morvith made that very clear. Morvith is right, Rita admitted. It won't be easy, but when has anything about your life been easy? You survived 25 years of this. She gestured to the tiny room. You survived losing everything and starting over with nothing. You're stronger than you think. Before Anna could respond, someone else knocked. This time it was Overseer Quillith, and he wasn't alone. 2 other station administrators stood behind him, all 3 looking nervous. Dr. Reed, Quillith said, and Anna noticed he used her old title. We wanted to apologize for any harsh treatment, for not recognizing your value. We would like to offer you a management position here on the station, with full benefits and compensation for your years of service. Anna stared at him. This was the same creature who'd laughed at her request for gloves, who'd called her worthless, who'd treated her like broken equipment for 7 years. Get out, she said quietly. Quillith's antenna twitched. I don't think you understand the opportunity I understand perfectly, Anna said, standing up. You don't care about me. You care about the Emperor. You think if you treat me well now, he'll forget how you treated me before. But I remember, Quillith. I remember every single day. The Overseer's compound eyes shifted. Be reasonable. We're offering nothing I want. Get out of my quarters. They left quickly, Quillith chittering nervously to his companions. Rita watched them go with a satisfied smile. That felt good, didn't it? She asked. A little, Anna admitted. Then she sighed. But it doesn't change anything. I'm still a servant living in a box. They're still the ones with power. Not if you accept what the Emperor is offering. Anna walked to the small window in her room. It looked out onto the docking bay, where Dravon's magnificent ship still rested. I am scared, Rita. I'm scared to hope for things again. Hope hurts too much when it dies. I know, Rita said, but sometimes you have to choose between the pain of hoping and the pain of giving up. And I think you've given up long enough. Over the next 2 days, Anna barely left her room. News spread across the station and beyond. Some humans came to her door, calling her a hero. Others called her a liar, said she was making it up for attention. Alien species watched her with suspicion or calculation. Everyone had an opinion about what she should do. The young human woman found her in the hallway on the 3rd day. She was on the cleaning staff, maybe 20 years old, with tired eyes and rough hands. Anna recognized her from the docking bay during the Emperor's arrival. Excuse me, the girl said nervously. Are you really Dr. Reed? The one who saved the Emperor? I'm Anna, she said carefully. And yes, the story is true. The girl's eyes filled with tears. Is it true he's going to honor you? Make you important? He wants to. I haven't decided. Please, the girl whispered. Please say yes. I've been working on this station since I was 15. 5 years of scrubbing and cleaning and being treated like dirt. When I heard about you, about what you did, it was the first time I felt like maybe humans matter. Maybe what we do has value, even when no one sees it. She wiped her eyes roughly. If you say no, if you stay here and stay small, it's like you're saying we deserve this. That we deserve to be invisible. But if you say yes, if you let him honor you, then maybe the rest of us can hope for something better too. The girl hurried away before Anna could respond. But her words stayed behind, heavy and real. Anna stood in the empty hallway and thought about all the other servants on the station. All the humans working thankless jobs across the galaxy. All the people who'd learned to make themselves small and invisible to survive. She thought about the young boy with his reading test, so proud and so hopeful. She thought about the girl who'd just spoken to her, tears in her eyes. She thought about 25 years of survival and what it had cost her soul. That night, Anna went to Dravon's ship. The guards let her through immediately, like they'd been expecting her. She found the Emperor in a large chamber, studying star charts with Morvith. I'll go with you, she said without preamble. To your homeworld, to the ceremony. I'll accept your honor. Dravon's eyes brightened. You've changed your mind. Not for me, Anna said. For everyone else who's invisible. If my story can give them hope, if it can show them that compassion has value even when it costs everything, then maybe the last 25 years meant something after all. She looked at Morvith. You were right. This will make me enemies. But staying here and hiding won't make the galaxy any better. So I'm choosing to stand up, even if I'm scared. Dravon lowered his head and touched it gently to hers, the way he used to when he was a hatchling seeking comfort. You were always brave, Mother. You just forgot for a while. When do we leave? Anna asked. Tomorrow, Dravon said. If you're ready. Anna thought about her tiny room, her years of invisibility, her life of careful survival. Then she thought about that young girl's tears and the hope in her voice. I'm ready, she said. Let's go home. The flagship felt alive under Anna's feet. The floors pulsed gently like breathing. The walls were warm to the touch, and sometimes they glowed with soft colors that seemed to respond to her mood. Rita, who'd agreed to come along, walked beside her through the curved hallways. This is incredible, Rita whispered. The ship is biological, a living thing. The Scaleborn grow their vessels, Dravon explained, walking ahead of them. His massive form somehow fit perfectly in these corridors, like the ship had shaped itself around him. We bond with them young. This ship and I have been together for 60 years. Anna touched the wall, and it warmed under her palm. She could feel something through it. Not thoughts exactly, but emotions. Curiosity. Welcome. The ship was examining her, learning her, accepting her. It likes you, Dravon said with what might have been a smile. It remembers you from my memories. When we bond with our ships, they see everything we've seen, felt everything we've felt. The journey to the scale-born homeworld would take 5 days. Dravon had given Anna and Rita quarters that were bigger than anything Anna had lived in for decades. Real beds, a bathroom with hot water, windows that showed the stars streaming past as they traveled faster than light. On the second day, Dravon invited her to the observation deck. It was a massive chamber with transparent walls, making it feel like they were floating in space itself. Anna stood at the edge and stared out at the galaxy. I rule 400 systems, Dravon said, coming to stand beside her. Thousands of worlds, trillions of beings. When I took the throne, I was young and angry. I just learned what had happened to you. I wanted to punish everyone who'd hurt you, to change everything overnight. What stopped you? Anna asked. Morvith. He told me that rage makes poor policy, that if I wanted to honor your sacrifice, I should do it by being the kind of leader you taught me to be. Dravon's tail curled thoughtfully. You taught me that the smallest life has value. That compassion isn't weakness. That protecting the vulnerable is the highest calling. He gestured at the stars. So I started making changes. Slowly, carefully. Laws protecting minor species. Restrictions on how workers can be treated. Funding for education and healthcare on poor worlds. Some of my people resisted. Said I was making the empire soft. But I persisted. Because of what you taught me, he said, looking at her. Every policy I've implemented, every law I've passed, I asked myself what you would do. What the woman who saved a dying hatchling despite the cost would want me to do. Anna felt tears in her eyes. I didn't know. How could you? You were hiding, surviving. But your influence has shaped an empire, Mother. You just never saw it. On the third day, Anna found herself in what Dravon called the council chamber. High Chancellor Morvith was there, along with several other Scaleborn advisors. They were discussing a trade dispute between two systems. The Keller colony claims the mining rights, one advisor said. But the Trent Corporation was there first. The Keller people need those resources to survive, another argued. The corporation is just seeking profit. The debate went back and forth. Anna sat quietly in the corner, just observing. But Dravon kept glancing at her, like he was waiting for something. Finally, she spoke up. May I ask a question? The advisors turned to her in surprise. Morvith nodded slowly. What happens to the people who actually work in the mines? The laborers. Where do they live? What are their conditions? There was a pause. One advisor checked his datapad. They live in temporary housing. Company provided. Conditions are adequate. Adequate by whose standard? Anna asked, are there safety regulations? Fair wages? Or are they being treated as disposable? Another pause. We don't typically concern ourselves with those details. Maybe you should, Anna said quietly. Because those details are people's lives. Those details are the difference between surviving and actually living. Dravon's eyes brightened. Mother is right. Morvith, I want a full report on labor conditions in both the Keller colony and the Trent operations. We'll base our decision on which group treats their workers better. And I want new regulations written for mining operations across the empire. If companies want access to resources, they'll provide dignity to those who extract them. The advisors scrambled to make notes. Morvith looked at Anna with something that might have been respect. You see, Dravon said after the meeting, this is what I need. Your perspective, your voice. You notice what others overlook because you've lived what they've only theorized. Rita found Anna that evening, looking out at the stars from her quarters. You're good at this, Rita said. The politics, the advising. I'm terrified, Anna admitted. Every time I speak up, I'm sure they'll laugh at me or dismiss me. But they don't, because you're right, and because the Emperor trusts you. Rita sat beside her. You know, I realized? You never stop being a scientist. Scientists observe what others miss. They ask questions everyone else forgot to ask. You're doing that now, just in a different field. My old research, Anna said suddenly. Dravon mentioned it earlier. He said it was confiscated. What happened to it? Rito smiled. That's actually good news. After you were blacklisted, your research sat in storage for years. But about 10 years ago, other xenobiologists started building on your early work. They didn't credit you at first because you were blacklisted, but your theories about cross-species empathy, about the value of emotional bonds in xenobiology, they're foundational now. Really, there are 3 universities that want to offer you research positions with full professorships. They've been waiting for you to resurface. Rita pulled out a datapad. I took the liberty of collecting the offers, just in case. Anna looked at the offers, seeing institution names she'd only dreamed of working for 25 years ago. I don't know if I can go back to that life. I'm not the same person. No, Rita agreed. You're better. You have experience those ivory tower academics could never match. You understand what it means to be powerless. That makes you a better scientist, Anna. It makes you better at everything. On the 5th day, they approached the scale-born homeworld. Anna stood on the observation deck and watched it grow larger. The planet was beautiful, covered in crimson forests and silver oceans, with cities that looked like they'd been grown rather than built. Dravon joined her, Morvith at his side. Are you nervous? The Emperor asked. Terrified, Anna admitted. I'm about to be honored by an entire civilization. Me, a woman who spent 25 years cleaning floors. You were never just a cleaner, Dravon said. You were always Dr. Anna Reed. You were always the woman who chose compassion over safety. The galaxy just forgot for a while. Now we're going to remind them. There will be resistance, Morvith warned. Some of our nobles consider this honor unprecedented. Controversial. A human being recognized as mother to the imperial line violates tradition. Then tradition needs to change, Dravon said firmly. Mother earned this honor with blood and sacrifice. Anyone who disagrees can bring their objections to me personally. The ship began its descent. Anna watched the planet's surface grow closer, her heart pounding. In a few hours, she'd stand before thousands of beings and accept an honor she'd never imagined. She'd become something she'd never wanted to be. Visible, important, influential. But as the ship touched down in the imperial capital, as she saw the massive crowds gathered to witness the ceremony, Anna realized something. This wasn't about her. It had never been about her. It was about showing the galaxy that compassion mattered, that the smallest act of kindness could change everything, that humans, with all their flaws and vulnerabilities, had something valuable to offer the stars. I'm ready, she said to Dravon. Let's show them what humanity really means. The Emperor touched his head to hers, gentle as always. You've been showing them for 25 years, Mother. Now the galaxy will finally see. They left the ship together, walking into a new future that Anna had stopped believing in decades ago. Behind them, Rita smiled and followed, proud to witness her friend finally getting the recognition she'd always deserved. The ceremony awaited. The Empire watched, and Anna stepped forward in her new life, scared but determined, broken but healing, ready to prove that hope wasn't just for the privileged few who'd never lost everything. Hope was for survivors too. The Imperial Palace was carved into a mountain of crystal that caught sunlight and scattered it into 1,000 colors. Anna walked through halls that were older than human civilization, her footsteps echoing on floors polished by centuries of use. The ceremonial robes they'd given her felt strange after years of wearing cleaning uniforms. The fabric was soft and light, colored in deep blue with silver threading that caught the light. Rita walked beside her, wearing formal dress herself. Breed, Rita whispered. You look like you're about to pass out. I might, Anna admitted. Through the massive doorway ahead, she could hear thousands of voices. The ceremony was being held in the Grand Hall, a space so large it could hold 20,000 beings. And they were all there to see her. You don't have to do this, Rita said. We could still turn around. Anna thought about the young servant girl on Station Meridian, tears in her eyes, asking her to be brave. She thought about all the invisible people across the galaxy who needed to believe their lives mattered. She thought about the hatchling she'd saved 25 years ago, who'd grown into an emperor because someone had shown him compassion. Yes, I do, Anna said. Let's go. The doors opened, and sound washed over her like a wave. The grand hall stretched impossibly vast, its ceiling lost in the distance. Thousands of scaleborn filled the space, their scales creating a rainbow of colors. Other species were present too, ambassadors and dignitaries from across the empire. They all turned to look at her. Anna wanted to run. Instead, she walked forward. The aisles seemed to stretch forever. On either side, beings watched her with curiosity, skepticism, or outright hostility. She kept her eyes forward, on Dravon waiting at the far end. He stood on a raised platform, magnificent in formal regalia, every inch the emperor he'd become. Morvith stood to his right, along with other high-ranking scaleborn. Some looked approving. Others looked like they'd swallowed something bitter. Anna understood. She was breaking every tradition they had. A human, a former servant, being honored as mother to their emperor. She reached the platform and stopped. The crowd fell silent. Dravon's voice, when he spoke, carried through the entire hall without any amplification needed. We gather today to right an old wrong, to honor a debt that should have been paid 25 years ago, to recognize the being who saved not just my life, but the future of our empire. He looked down at Anna, and his eyes were warm. This is Dr. Anna Reed. 26 years ago, she was a scientist studying an uninhabited world. She found me dying in a cave, the last survivor of a poacher attack. She had every reason to leave me there. Her regulations demanded it. Her career required it. Her safety depended on it. Instead, she took me to her research station and spent 6 months nursing me to health. She operated on me with tools meant for humans, saving my life through skill and desperation. She fed me by hand, sang to me when I was frightened, taught me that the universe could be kind. Dravon's tail swept around, indicating the assembled crowd. When my people found us, they took me home. They destroyed her career, revoked her credentials, blacklisted her from the work she loved. For 25 years, she has lived in poverty and obscurity, cleaning floors and surviving day by day. While I have ruled an empire, she has been invisible. His voice grew harder. This is a shame upon us all. We punished compassion. We destroyed a life in the name of protocol. We allowed the being who saved our future emperor to suffer in silence while we celebrated his survival. Some of the scale-born nobles shifted uncomfortably. Anna stood very still, barely breathing. Today, we changed that, Dravon declared. Dr. Anna Reed, I name you Keeper of the First Mercy. You are recognized as mother to the imperial line, with all rights and privileges that title carries. You will have a seat on the Imperial Council. Your voice will be heard in all matters of state, and your sacrifice will be taught to every child in this empire, so they learn that compassion has value greater than gold. He lowered his great head to her level. Do you accept this honor? Anna's voice shook, but she made it work. I accept, not for myself, but for everyone who's been made invisible by this galaxy. For every being who's been told their compassion doesn't matter. For every person who's been punished for choosing kindness over convenience. She turned to face the crowd, and her voice grew stronger. I'm not special. I'm just someone who saw a dying child and couldn't walk away. That shouldn't be rare. That shouldn't be punishable. That should be normal. But it's not normal, is it? Across this empire, across this galaxy, beings are treated as disposable. Workers are exploited. The vulnerable are ignored. Compassion is seen as weakness instead of strength. Anna's hands clenched into fists. That has to change. And if I have to stand here wearing fancy robes and using a fancy title to make a change, then I'll do it. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some scale-born nobles looked outraged. Others looked thoughtful. One of them, an elderly female with golden scales, stood up. The human speaks truth, she said in a voice that carried authority. We have let our strength blind us to mercy. Perhaps this is why the emperor brings her before us, to remind us what we've forgotten. Another noble stood. This violates tradition. A human cannot hold such a position. I am tradition, Dravon said, his voice dropping to a dangerous rumble. I'm the law, and I say this honor is deserved and granted. Does anyone wish to challenge my decision directly? Silence. Even the hostile nobles weren't foolish enough to challenge their emperor openly, Dravon continued. Furthermore, I announced the creation of the Mercy Accord, effective immediately. All species within the Empire will receive protections guaranteeing fair treatment, safe working conditions, and dignity regardless of their status or power. Labor exploitation is now a criminal offense. Any being, regardless of species, can appeal to imperial courts for justice. This is Dr. Reed's first gift to us. A reminder that how we treat the powerless defines our civilization more than how we reward the powerful. The crowd erupted in discussion. Some cheered. Others argued. Anna watched it all, feeling distant and unreal. Was this actually happening? Was she actually standing here, changing an empire? Over the next hours, there were formal presentations, ceremonial gifts, and endless speeches. Anna endured it all, though her feet hurt and her head ached. Rita stood nearby, beaming with pride. Morvith, surprisingly, approached during a break. You did well, the Chancellor said. Some nobles will fight you. Some will try to undermine every suggestion you make. But others will listen. You planted seeds today, Dr. Reed. What grows from them depends on your persistence. I can be persistent, Anna said. I survived 25 years of poverty. I can survive political opposition. That evening, finally free of ceremony, Anna stood in her new quarters. They were beautiful, spacious, with windows overlooking the capital city. Rita was there, along with Dravon, discussing the day's events. 3 universities have already contacted me, Rita said, checking her messages. They want you to consider research positions. And there are at least a dozen requests for interviews from media outlets across the empire. There's also a backlog of labor complaints, Morvith added, entering the room. Beings who heard about the Mercy Accord and want to file grievances about their treatment. Thousands of them, Dr. Reed. Your new position comes with real work. Anna looked at the data pad he handed her. Page after page of complaints. Beings who'd been exploited, abused, ignored. Her people, not humans specifically, but the invisible ones. The survivors. Good, she said. When do I start? Tomorrow, Dravon said. The council meets at dawn. We have much to discuss. Rita left to find her own quarters. Morvith departed to handle the flood of responses to the ceremony. Anna and Dravon stood together at the window, looking out at the city lights. Are you all right? Dravon asked softly. I don't know, Anna admitted. This is everything I lost, given back 100 times over. But it's also terrifying. What if I fail? What if I can't help all those people? Then you have tried, Dravon said, which is more than most beings in power ever do. You taught me that, Mother. You taught me that trying, even when success isn't guaranteed, is what defines us. He touched his head to hers gently, the gesture he'd used since he was a hatchling. I have searched for you for 25 years. I have dreamed of this moment, of bringing you home and giving you the honor you deserve. Now you're finally here, and I find myself hoping you'll stay. Not as a symbol, he added quickly, not as a trophy to parade around, but as my mother, as my advisor, as the being who taught me that compassion isn't weakness. Anna reached up and touched his massive head, running her hand over the scales she'd once carefully cleaned when he was small enough to fit in her arms. I'll stay, she said, not because you're emperor, not because of the honor or the title, but because there's work to do, people to help, and because somewhere along the way, between that cave and this palace, you became my son, not by blood, but by choice. And I don't abandon my children. Dravon made a sound that might have been a dragon's version of a sob. Thank you, Mother. They stood together at the window, looking out at an empire that would never be quite the same. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. There would be resistance, setbacks, failures. But there would also be victories, changes, lives improved. Anna thought about the young servant on Station Meridian and all the others like her. She thought about 25 years of invisible survival. She thought about a dying hatchling and the choice to save him despite the cost. And she smiled because finally, after so long, that choice felt worth it. Not because of the honor or the title or the recognition, but because that frightened hatchling had grown into an emperor who believed compassion mattered, who'd built that belief into law, who'd searched for 25 years just to say thank you. Come on, Anna said. You mentioned the council meets at dawn. We should probably get some sleep. Will you sing? Dravon asked, almost shyly. The songs you sang when I was small? I haven't heard them in so long. Anna laughed, and it felt good. It felt real. I suppose I could. Though I warn you, my voice hasn't improved with age. It's perfect, Dravon said. It's always been perfect. So Anna sang the old lullabies, the songs her mother had taught her, and she'd taught to a dying hatchling in a research station so many years ago. And the Dragon Emperor, ruler of 400 systems, closed his eyes and listened and remembered and was home.